Hello, Aries. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Aries is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Hard work. 10 of Wands. I feel like you're somebody who doesn't always ask for help, you know? I feel like you've got a lot of weight on your shoulders. I feel like you are probably experiencing some fatigue. We feel kind of run down lately. We feel like we're getting exhausted. And it may be that we are working ourselves very, very hard in life, and we're starting to feel the effects. Our joints hurt, our throat's always kind of scratchy. I always got a little bit of a cough. It feels like our body is in need of some rest. It feels like maybe our spirit is in need of a little bit of lightness, you know, a little bit of joy, perhaps, a little bit of rest for the spirit too. Okay. But you're a hard worker. When you give your commitment to something, you show up every day. You focus. You put in the extra hours, right? This is somebody who is, they like to do things themselves. You know, they like to carry all the grocery bags into the house from the car by themselves. Even though they've got other people there to kind of share the work, but they're just like, no, I'll get it. And then you line up all the grocery bags, and then you got those lines on your arm, you know, when you finally take the bags off. Just to kind of, just to prove to ourselves that we can still do it. You know, just to demonstrate to ourselves that this is something I'm capable of doing, right? So I feel like we have to look at this card a little bit closer today. We have to find out if you're getting enough rest, if you're drinking enough water, if you're asking for help when you need it, if help is there for you. Okay? Feels like a lot of responsibilities are on your shoulders right now. Context. We need context. We have a Prince of Cups. We have a 5 of Pentacles. A 4 of Pentacles. There's the Fool. The lightness, you know. Yeah. And of course we have the universe. You're building an entire world. Why does it feel like you're building it all by yourself, right? I think this is good, though. I think that, you know, yes, we need to have a little bit more lightness. We need to have a little bit more fun. We need to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. We need to make sure we get adequate rest. We need to make sure that we fortify ourselves and kind of take care of the foundational, you know, areas of our lives that are going to really sustain us to continue reaching for the stars. I feel like you are creating something. I feel like you're building the universe here. I feel like the work that you're involved with right now is going to pay off in a way that is like astronomical, right? The universe card. Showing a completion to all of this work, that you're not getting a 10 of Pentacles. You know, it's not a 10 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not saying I put in a level 10 effort, I get a level 10 result. No, you're getting an astronomical result. This is exponentially more than the 10 you're putting in. So it's an amazing return on your investment here. Okay. Over here we have 9 of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, the Hermit, and another Prince, right? We've got the Prince of Fire, Prince of Water. And I think those are very, very consistent cards, okay? Let's select the Mystery card, bonus card, Confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the Factor, Infinite and Unknown. It's going to go right here with Jimbo, the Lizard King, a.k.a. Mr. Lizard. I can do anything. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, give us the confirmation we need. If you have a prediction for that card, put it in the comments down below, okay? Let's use our intuition, right? You're here. I guess I might as well put you to work too. Major arcana. We got 1, 2, 3. The Fool and the Hermit, creating a universe, right? The Fool and the Hermit, creating a universe. The Fool is kind of open to all paths, while the Hermit is open to my path, you know? And so I think what the implication here is that you might be spreading yourself very, very thin, trying to do everything for everybody. You're learning to say no more. And I feel that's part of our Four of Swords in the environment. In terms of your relationships, boundaries. You know, very easily, gentle kind of boundaries. Because the Fool will go everywhere. The Fool is just pure air. What does air do? It expands to fill the container it's in, right? I think. Anyway, I don't know. That class was a long time ago. But any kind of a gas, right, will fill whatever container it's in, will spread out equally in the room. So with the Fool, it's kind of like saying, we have a difficult time saying no to stuff. That we're overcommitting ourselves. We're overdoing it. We're saying yes to everything because it's fun, because we want to, because we like it, because the Fool's like, yeah, heck yeah, let's go do that. You got to work at 6 in the morning. I don't care. Let's stay out till 5 in the morning, you know, because that's the Fool's nature, right? So we need some of that, but only to the point where it's restorative, where it's good for us, where it's part of this kind of healing energy. But when it becomes too much, then it's starting to drain energy away from us. Then we say, well, this isn't helping me anymore. Now it's starting to hurt me. So I better say no. Okay? So we're not trying to get rid of the Fool, but we don't want to be the complete fool either. Yeah. Because again, that Fool is just expansive, wants to fill every square centimeter of the room, cubic centimeter of the room that it's in. Yeah. But we can't, because that's going to drain too much of our energy, especially when our energy is already pretty well devoted to this path we're on now, going this way, right? And that's extraordinary. So the Hermit, I think, is kind of narrowing focus down a little bit. It's kind of like nose to the grindstone. Let's just, let's put our effort in where we need to. Let's have a little bit of Fool energy, but let's conserve our forces enough so that when we get to the finish line, when we get to this goal, this new universe, we're gonna enjoy it. Yeah. So we've got those two, and because this is a Fool, what I want to do is an Jing hexagram, right? Because the Fool is a fool, the Hermit is a sage. So I want the Jing to tell us the difference between a fool and a sage, okay? Your hexagram, whoa, that's what we've got here. Look at this, seeking union. Good fortune at the origin of oracle consultation, from the source, ever-flowing constancy, no mistake. Not at rest, coming on all sides, for the latecomer is a pitfall. The Fool's first. The Fool is first to volunteer everywhere it goes. The Fool is, does not want to miss out, right? For the latecomer, it's a pitfall. So it's kind of that fear of missing out. I don't want to be late to the party. Yeah, that's the Fool. We got 2 hexagrams. We also have flow, naturalness, an ease, a spontaneity. The small goes and the great comes. Good fortune, creating success. Flow is a sign of the full expression of tremendous creative energy and spiritual power. Create harmony with that greater flow and pour its energy into creative manifestation. Pettiness and small concerns are swept away, so that free communication and great things become possible. How can you channel the flow of creative energy for harmony in a way that's going to lead to the desired universe that we're trying to create? In other words, the Fool is always seeking union, okay? And on the back of the card, we say, where do you belong? Is this a good fit? Do you choose to join? Like, you're looking for connections, and that's the Fool. But we want the Fool to be in the flow, right? And so the small going and the great coming is kind of saying we don't have to say yes to everything. Some things, the small things, the little things, the meaningless things, the drama, the insignificant stuff, we can say no to all of that and direct our forces toward what we really are trying to accomplish here, okay? So it's not so much time management, but prioritizing a little bit and just being able to say no to things so that we can channel this creative energy where it needs to go. And that's why we have our Prince of Cups, this authenticity. The only person that can tell you what to say yes and no to is you, higher self, God, goddess, deity, right? An inspired you, an authentic you. Your authentic self knows how to stay in the flow and knows kind of how to rein the fool in a little bit. Because again, the fool wants to seek union with everything. But we need to know how we can channel these things, right? How we can get rid of the pettiness and the smaller concerns and put this Ten of Wands where it really needs to go and create an amazing universe. Okay? So that's the first message for you, I feel like, in this reading. So let's put that seeking union and the flow. The flow has to take precedence, right? So we've got our majors anyway. We've got some fire. We've got a little bit of water. The water is it. It's the desires, the water energy, right? Your feelings, your desires, the authentic desires, right? The deeper desires, the ones that are like kind of resonating with your core truth. What you really, really want, the big, like, what do I want in life? Your big desire versus like the small desires of the day where the fool wants to go and do everything. Oh, you see what I mean? So it really is about these desires right now and our ability to say no to things in order to say yes to things, right? That the idea is to say yes to the future that really matters here. We've got the air, which we need here as well, because you know what? The fool is pure air, like I said. And the fool is that expansive air that goes everywhere, right? This is the container. This is like we're putting boundaries on the fool. Really, the boundaries are for ourselves more than for anybody else. We're not trying to keep other people out necessarily. We're trying to keep ourselves in and just focus on what we need to do. Yeah. I feel like you're a lot more social than you usually are. Like you really have this surge of energy, and it's a good sign too, right? Because when we feel motivated, when we feel inspired, when we feel an enthusiasm in what we're doing because we're living authentically, we're doing our work, you're being your creative self, whatever this is for you, if it's a job, a creative outlet, if it's a family, if it's a relationship, if it's a spiritual practice, if it's your own business, if it's a stamp collection, doesn't matter. You're so fired up that we feel just like this overflowing joy, and we feel like the fool. We want to go out and do everything. We want to say yes to everything because we're so excited. We got to be able to calm it down, bring it back to center a little bit, because we're going to burn out. We're going to feel too exhausted to really get where we're going. You've got a lot of earth energy in the reading here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and even the Hermit is some earth energy, and even the Universe card is an earth energy. Okay, so it could be an indication of discipline here. That could be a big thing, right? Don't waste energy on unnecessary stuff. The Four of Pentacles here in the background, kind of the recent past. To me, this feels like basic, principles, basic habits. It's water, shelter, food, transportation, focusing on the basic stuff. And that's going to be our support. This is going to be our foundation. This is like saying square one. We were at square one. We were at home base camp. We're focused on the first kind of step, the essentials. Yeah. And, maybe part of you is feeling like, okay, I've been going through this routine for so long now. I want something. I want to go party. I want to go to the club or whatever. And so we kind of let the fool out a little bit. And that's good, because that's going to help restore you. It's kind of like we need the weekend to unwind so that we can go back and bust our butts at work, on Monday, And so it kind of helps us. It's something to just release all the tension, unwind, release the worries. The fool can go and not care about anything as long as it returns Sunday evening to kind of get ready for bed and get ready for the hard work. You know what I mean? So we need to have desires, and we need to fulfill those desires. We have to gratify ourselves in any way we can, whatever is right for you. No judgment, as long as it's strengthening you and not diminishing you. As long as it is helping you to fortify yourself and build yourself up to keep pushing forward with your true goals in life, and not just like, I'm so tired in the morning that I just can't get up and do what I need to do. Right? Because then it's sort of becoming a problem. So it could be that you've become a little bit bored with just the basics, just the water, shelter, food, and transportation. And I kind of want something more than that, right? So maybe we're out, we're buying ourselves something nice, we're treating ourselves, we're hanging out with our friends, we're getting gifts for people. We're living it up, you know? And that's good. I think we really, truly need that sometimes, as long as it is all part of your larger picture of life, as long as you don't stray too far from your true will here. Because your true will is to create the goal, to create the universe that you're authentically and artistically and creatively constructing here. Okay. The Four of Pentacles, to me, is a lot of discipline, a lot of boundaries. Of course, the Fool doesn't like the boundaries. See, we have the Four and the Four over here. The Fool doesn't like that, feels constrained. The Fool wants to be out here having freedom in the universe, right? We have the Alpha and the Omega, the Fool in the universe. It's kind of like this is the beginning and the end of the path of the Fool, right? It's amazing. The idea, though, is that by having this, having the restrictions now, see, this is a Four. This is one little box, one little section, one little quadrant of space. This is infinite space. So this is just like, we've kind of taken the infinite and we've put it in a little box. We've just sectioned off a little part of the universe and said, this is where I'm going to keep myself, in this box. We want to get out of the box, right? We all do. We all want to expand our universe, expand our world, and transcend our present conditions and improve the quality of our life, etc., etc. Sometimes the way of discipline is the way to freedom. Sometimes by keeping ourselves in this budget of energy, time, effort, energy, and or money, is going to lead to freedom, right? The Fool truly can experience. Now, this is an entire universe. Imagine the Fool expanding to the entire universe. Remember, the gas fills the container it's in. What if this container were infinite, right? And so we have to learn how to manage our energy and our attention, our desires now. Maybe right now it's saying, let's not forget about the discipline and the structure that we need. Through discipline, you're earning the freedom. You're creating the universe where you can be relatively, infinitely free, right? And expand to this infinite universe. So that's the idea. And then the Five of Pentacles down beneath the surface, we kind of are starting to feel like, yeah, okay, I kind of need to get back. Anytime we get a 5, we start looking for the 4. Anytime we get a 4, we start looking for the 5. Because we're not happy out here, we realize, well, okay, maybe things are getting a little bit too unwound, right? Well, maybe I need to go back and I need to wind them back up here with the 4. I feel like it's kind of time to bring things back to a structured and stable center. I feel like if we look at this energy going forward this way, I think we're really seeing a nice flow here. Okay, the discipline that you have kind of as in your history, the structure, the basics, you have that as your foundation, right? Sometimes I say about the Four of any of the Fours, but particularly the Four of Pentacles, is that this is the platform from which you can reach the stars. This is the springboard that we leap off of, right? And this is you doing that. This is the Fool leaping, okay, into this infinite universe. We don't want to forget about that foundation, okay? I think this is a major, major accomplishment in your destiny. I think this is a major unfolding, okay? And, in that sense, the Fool and the Five of Pentacles is kind of like we took a chance on something major here. That this was probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you changed your destiny. You said, I want to transcend my present circumstances. I don't want to just settle for the bare minimum of life. I want to see how expansive, how much I can grow, how much my universe can grow. Maybe this is the Fool literally traveling. You're literally going from your home to some distant, unknown land. Okay, I think travel is definitely a part of your life, or it will be. Sometimes the Five of Pentacles inside feels like I can't stay the same anymore. I have to change. We're sort of, the facade of life is sort of cracking and breaking. It's like we're starting to bust out of our shell here. Okay? So I feel like there's a feeling of instability inside. But sometimes that instability is a good thing, right? Because it's showing that, like, I'm changing. I'm growing. I'm expanding. And when we expand, just like a snake or like some scorpions or something like, we have to go through that exoskeleton, that hard shell around us. We break through it. That shell falls off, and then we can we can grow until it, kind of hardens again, and then we're kind of feeling the need for change again. So it is life going from a 4 to a 5 to a 4. When the 4 gets too crusty, we got to break through again. Okay. And I feel that the Fool loves that. The Fool is like the fresh, serpent after the molting, right? That scorpion after the shell has been, or the cicada, or pick your insect or reptile or whatever. And I feel that we're living our life in that authentic way. I feel like we go through fluctuations of intense focus and a lot of openness, a lot of freedom, a lot of Fool kind of, seeking union everywhere we want, everywhere we can, But I feel like in the future position, the universe card is saying that you're understanding how discipline is leading to the lifting of restrictions on you, the lifting of boundaries. It's like you're really strict with your budget for however long, and then finally you reach a point where you can do all those things that you had to deny yourself. This to me feels like the removal of limitations, the removal of boundaries. Yeah. But let's not leap into the removal of boundaries before we're ready. Let's make sure that when we do seek this kind of freedom and seek these unions, that we're prepared for that, that we're not leaping too soon into things. But again, you've got the perfect flow here. I think this is absolutely extraordinary. The foundation, putting in the effort authentically. Now this is it. You've got to be the judge. You've got to keep yourself on track. You got to keep yourself focused. You don't want too much discipline. You don't want too little discipline, right? You got to have just the right kind of boundaries for yourself, and you're going to reach this freedom. You're going to reach this infinite future. Whatever you're working on will be completed infinite times more than what you put into it. Okay? This little 4 of Pentacles, you can't even see it from outer space, right? That you're so far leaping ahead of where you were. Huge, huge change in your destiny here. Okay. Now, on the path of the serpent, we have a 9, obviously. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by the way, please do. The readings are free. The 9 of Pentacles is gain. It's growth. I'm growing physically, financially, abundant. It's working, right? On the physical, financial plane, mental, emotional plane, and the spiritual, creative plane, things are growing. They're not diminishing. So whether we're in a stage of intense discipline or a phase of kind of relaxed discipline, we have to always ask ourselves, am I growing? Sometimes we need to stay in the discipline to grow. Sometimes we have to break out of that and have the freedom in order to continue to grow. So again, you're your own judge. In your life, the things that you choose to say yes and no to in your life, are they helping you grow or not? Simple, kind of, much more complicated in practice, but the idea here is that you are making choices that are leading you to your growth. Okay, your activities, your connections, your choices are improving your life. Okay, and not diminishing you. And if maybe we're coming to a point where we realize, okay, I need to get back to a little bit of the focus, a little bit of the discipline, get back to the essential practices here of something, right? That maybe the Fool has kind of like strayed too far from home, needs to come back a little bit. Or if the Fool kind of, no, I need more. I need more exploration. I need more freedom right now, not less. Yeah. It is your choice of how you're going to manage that sort of energy in your life, and your focus is on, of course, what's gonna have the most benefit to me. How am I gonna grow through this process? Because that's what we're doing, right? With I don't know, I can't think of any other examples, but a snake and a scorpion molting, right? They're growing. When they get too big for their skin, they have to shed that skin and then keep growing, right? And so sometimes it's about keeping the old skin on and knowing when to shed that skin in order to to have the most healthy growth, right? The Four of Swords in the position of the environment or your relationships, we are putting a little bit of a fence around ourselves and say, you know what, sometimes I just got to keep myself in the yard, right? I have a tendency to like chase after the mailman or whatever. I need to put a fence around myself so I don't and sometimes we have to do this. It's almost like one of those Ulysses contracts, where we just we put these restrictions on ourselves to say, I'm just not allowing myself all these distractions because I need to focus. It's kind of like you lock your phone in a timed safe or something where it's just like, I couldn't open it if I wanted to, because I'm imposing restrictions on myself. I'm imposing boundaries for myself to keep me on task, And maybe this is a way of us holding ourselves accountable, or we hold ourselves accountable through our relationships with other people. That just say, hey, you know what? Don't let me stay out past midnight tonight. I might turn into a pumpkin. I might turn into a gremlin, and I'm not going to be very useful at work tomorrow, right? So it's like we're having some very flexible rules for ourselves and finding ways to keep ourselves accountable to the things that we have focused on. Because you have that, again, you've got the Prince of Cups right there. That is your authenticity. No one can decide to do this except for you. No one can decide where your energy goes other than you, okay? So the Four of Swords, I think, is a very important card as well. The Hermit is in the position of the obstacle. The Fool and the Hermit are quite different. Both are wise in their own way, but both cards have shadow sides as well, right? The Fool, of course, could be very inconsiderate, has no concern. It's kind of like Friday night Paul has no regard for Monday morning Paul. It's completely inconsiderate, and it's like a different person. So the Fool can be very inconsiderate. The Fool doesn't always think of consequences. Fool doesn't always think of resources. How much am I spending on all of this? How much is it costing me in terms of my energy or my sleep or my whatever, right? Time, effort, energy, and or money. Fool doesn't take those things into consideration. The Hermit, on the other hand, only takes those things into consideration. The Fool is the social butterfly, while the Hermit is that, curmudgeon, the wallflower, the one that doesn't even show up to the party, the isolated one. We don't want to be isolated. We don't want to be, really, you want to be kind of a blend of both of these, right? You don't want to be completely one or the other. But the difficulty right now might be getting back to the focus. The difficult thing right now, especially with, summer and, springtime, summertime coming, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it might be difficult for us to kind of go into like winter hibernation, focus, internal work mode, because we're very much enjoying the external work, the external things that we're doing, okay? So I feel like we need kind of a blend of both, and that's where our princes come into play, because they're very much focused on what's correct right now. There's nothing right or wrong about any of this, but what you decide, okay? Prince of Wands is someone who is very, very focused, very steady, wants to keep the flame burning bright. Is your flame diminishing? And I was going to say, is your framework of life sustaining your fire, or is it diminishing your fire? Because what we want is kind of a consistency. We don't want to have too much of a roller coaster if we don't need to. In other words, I don't want to have to, I don't want to wear myself out over the weekend so much that Monday morning I need a ton of coffee to get myself going. How do we kind of keep things a little bit more balanced? The equilibrium kind of thing. So I feel like the fire and the water too, this kind of dichotomy is good too, right? Going faster or slowing down. Doing, more discipline, more self-control, or kind of more letting loose, right? We're going the path of fire, we go in the path of water, and how do we blend that together? Well, blending that together is going to make we're going to build up steam. And to me, the fire and the water together, building up steam is the power of the engine, right? It's this like a steam engine, it's going to keep us going. And so we have to be the judge of that, and we have to be discerning enough to know where we're at. But this is wonderful energy. Let's look at our mystery card, and let's see I want like a 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. I want to feel like this is, that everything is paying off, that you have just the right balance and blend. You know how to be flexible. You know how to be free, but also disciplined. And you got the perfect balance. Maybe this is going to be the Libra energy, the adjustment card. Let's see what we have. The Lovers, well, that's about balance too, marrying together the Hermit and the Fool, right? In this holy union, this holy marriage. So I feel like this is a combination of things for you. And you understand that your commitment to this larger path is much more significant than your commitment to all those other things in life, right? The Lovers card doesn't have to be romance, but it could be. It could be a relationship. It could be saying that I am so committed to my partner that I'm totally willing to say no to all these other things out there. Like, it's not even a question. This is saying I'm committed to my spiritual path so much that I'm more than ready to say no to all those other things that, my fool might want to go do. Or whatever your commitment is, whether it's your career path, your schooling, university, if it's your art, your creative path, if it is your family relationships, if it's a skill or a sport or a hobby that you're trying to develop, your commitment, this is like one thing that you've said hell yes to, which means gotta say no to other stuff, right? So wonderful confirmation card, pardon my language. HE double hockey sticks, I'll say that next time. And so this is the perfect confirmation. I think it sums up everything just exactly the right way. This is the thing that inspires us. This is the thing that is coming down from on high to give you your correct choices, to tell you, like, what do you need to be doing? What should you really be doing? Are you honoring this commitment, this is the big inspired commit, the big heck yes kind of commitment. Everything else is kind of underneath that. And so this is giving us the standard by which to judge every choice we make in life, every commitment we make, whether we're overextending ourselves or we're committing ourselves to too many things, whatever the case is. Yeah. We're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do oracle cards. There's a link up in the corner. There should be a link in the video description as well. New readings for Aries Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you want to watch all the readings at the website, go to doveandserpenttarot.com. Okay. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.